So I'm not sure who's.
Okay, so there's,
So it's actually smaller, but we're
Yeah.
gonna probably keep it the same.
okay.
Zoom.
All right. Gravel. Calling to order the Stormwater Bylaw Review Working Group for February 18th, 2025. Do we have to roll call?
Yes.
All right, Joshua Levy,
Here.
Trip Pace,
Here.
John Salo,
Here.
Janine Hellring, not here, Preston Hall, not here, Tom Ryder,
Here.
Deb Anderson,
Here.
Joe Ponda.
Here.
All right, and the chair's here.
Sue Barbara.
And Sue Barbara.
Sue Barbara, yeah, is she here?
No.
She's very quiet, but then no. All right, so then we have to approve the minutes.
It
Anyone
was
read the minutes?
Yeah.
All right, let's.
motion by
Do we have a
Joe,
motion by,
Joe,
Move to accept.
seconded by John.
all right, we'll re-vote. Joshua Levy,
Yes.
Trip Pace,
Yes, yes.
all right. John Salo,
Yes.
Preston Hall, not here, I'm sorry, Tom Ryder,
Yes.
Deb Anderson.
Yeah.
Joe Ponda.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, all right, minutes accepted, on to the meat of the meeting, the bylaw.
Okay, so we left off, the last thing we were talking about was the section 4.1 permits and approvals. And I think we left it with, we want to come back to that because we weren't sure about the minor, major stormwater permits and those kinds of things, so we're gonna come back to that. Stormwater management and erosion control, we finished. We, took language from a couple of different places and put them together.
Yeah.
Modification of building permits is 4.3, which is what we're at now. Okay, so 4.3, modification of building permits. Needham currently has it at the applicant or an agent thereof shall obtain the approval of the director of public works prior to any change or modification of an activity associated with the stormwater management and erosion control provisions of the building permit. The director of public works shall approve or reject the change or modification in writing on the plot plan submitted within 2 weeks of the receipt of such change or modification. If no action is taken within the said 2-week period, the change or modification shall be deemed to have been approved.
Is that realistic? 2 weeks?
Is that actually what happens? Because I'm pretty sure we make them submit a new permit.
It depends on the modification.
Okay,
You know, if somebody is, for example, if somebody, plans to build a house with, no finished attic, but then they decide to finish the attic, they need a new permit.
You want me to shut the door? Are you finding that bothersome? That's up to you guys. I'm just curious.
So,
but they don't submit it to the director of public works. They submit it through their permit process instead of director of public works.
Well,
It should probably be through the permitting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have a lot of changes to building permits that would affect stormwater management.
Okay. Unless they change the size of what they're building.
Yeah, which is a rare occasion.
Right,
You know, usually, you know, on these new builds today, you know, they're already maxing out the FAR and the lot coverage,
right.
usually, unless it's a big lot, but rarely do people come in and say, you know what, I wanna make my house 500 square feet bigger.
We had someone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen,
They
so
had
probably
it
there should
over
be a
1,000
provision
square feet
there.
less.
Okay.
Refreshing.
Well, I mean, even if they did, what if they changed it to something less? So say they said, oh, I want a 3,000 square foot house, and then the builder came in and said, you know, Trip goes in and says, well, that's gonna cost you $4 million, and they're like, well, I only have 2. Okay, well, then you're gonna change it to a 1,500 square
Yeah,
foot
but
house.
usually that's worked out before they apply for a permit, so yeah,
Right.
it would be a rare occasion.
Right.
That would happen.
Right. I'm thinking my point for what we currently have in Needham, or my opinion, and again, I'm not here, so it's not really my opinion, but the applicant or agent thereof shall obtain the approval of Director of Public Works. That is not accurate. they should apply for a change of permit or need to contact the building department to see if they need to apply for a new permit. I don't think they have to contact the director of public works for anything.
Okay,
Yeah,
Under the direction of the director of public works, maybe, but I don't think they contact them
with
specifically.
approval of the building inspector.
Yeah.
right, who may then send it to engineering.
Right,
Yeah. Permit
you know.
approval or something like that, shall obtain approval via permit. Authority.
I mean, really, shouldn't it say, modification of stormwater management plan? Not
Yeah.
oh,
necessarily,
right,
Yeah,
you know, no, not necessarily modification of building permit.
Right.
okay.
Modification of stormwater plan, right? That's
Right.
what we're saying we want?
Yeah.
Josh, Tripp, you're in agreement with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, all right, and the applicant or agent thereof shall obtain the approval of the permitting authority. I wouldn't say director. I don't think the director of
Right.
public works has anything to do with it.
Right, this
You've
is,
done that person's name anyway, so
this is kind of where we need to separate out the NEPDs from the flooding
Right.
concern
Yeah.
within the bylaw.
Yeah.
NEPD should be all you guys, and the flooding aspect of it should be us on the plans to build, or the plot plan house and all of that, and with the input of these guys. Definitely, I'll take full of permits, I would apply the modification.
So I just changed the second sentence to also read the permitting authority shall approve or reject the change, because if they change something to conservation, then it shouldn't be the building department that approves
Good,
it.
yeah, good
Right,
point,
okay.
good point. Yeah.
Or approve or reject the change or modification in writing on the plot plan submitted within 2 weeks of the receipt of such change or modification. If no action is taken within the said 2-week period, the change or modification shall be deemed to have been approved. Why is it an assumption that it's approved as
Yeah.
opposed to an assumption it is not approved?
Well,
yeah, it's like a pocket veto, where it's like, or something like that.
Yeah,
I
like if
mean-
nothing happens, you don't,
Right.
it doesn't automatically be okay.
yeah, but I mean, all permits should have, you know, for the benefit of the applicant, there should be a timeline.
Right,
You know, we have 30 days, when somebody applies for a building permit, we have 30 days to act on it.
right.
You don't have to approve it in 30 days, but we've got to say, okay, we're not approving it because of X, 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 and X.
I agree, but I guess my thing is if you let it lapse, so whatever happens, it gets falls through the cracks, somebody doesn't see it. If they just assume it's gonna be, it's approved because nobody saw it and something happened, then it's automatically approved, whereas if nothing happened, the applicant is more likely to nag you at the end of that 2 weeks saying, hey, I haven't had anything
Right.
approved.
All of a
It's
sudden,
now
everything's
gonna-
go silent.
But
Yeah.
even with a building permit application, if we do nothing within those 30 days, then it's considered a constructive grant.
Right.
So it is approved after
Oh,
30 days.
intriguing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking 2
enough?
weeks.
If 2 weeks sounds like.
I think 30 days is better, because you could have someone on vacation for 2 weeks, you could have.
Yeah, you get appendicitis all the
and
time,
how
like, oh my
they,
God, things.
how they applying through for this anyways too, could they just like, oh, I uploaded it to the cloud and you guys didn't review it? Well, we never received, we never even saw it, we didn't get notice, you know, so
Right, so,
usually through a building permit, you get a notice of the building permit, but this is not.
Good point.
So if they upload a new one, you guys would get or I would assume, when you get the uploaded attachment, if they uploaded a different one. I think there's a notification on it.
there's a notification out of the several hundred notifications that we get each week. So
Exactly. Exactly.
You know. VPC gives us a notification on everything, so
So
oftentimes
perhaps-
it's difficult, it's always difficult to use that system.
Shall approve or reject the change or modification in writing,
Well,
on the plot plan submitted.
Hold on. Let's have them shall submit in writing a detailed description of the change
Okay,
Okay,
for starters.
applicant. Submit request. In writing. Shall request. in writing. Either by mail or online permit, because conservation doesn't have online permitting yet, so that's why they can't do that now.
Send in writing. Right.
Well, right, but if you say in writing, they may not think an email, like a message through the portal, the permitting portal wouldn't be considered in writing typically, I guess. It may be, I don't know, it's how you feel.
Thoughts?
Submit in writing and obtain confirmation of receipt.
Submit in writing, we'll work on
Yeah,
that
okay.
language.
Getting,
Some of that can be handled in the regulation,
Right.
right,
Okay,
A
to keep it more vague, I guess.
request in writing a change to a modification, a change or modification.
yeah.
Yeah.
Change the modification.
Revision.
To the original submission. Once the permitting authority has acknowledged receipt.
Yes, I've approved, yeah, that's when it starts the clock, right?
Requested change, request.
Mhm.
The confirmation. In writing too.
You still want the online option?
well, everything that my office does regarding permitting is online. We don't do paper at all.
Has acknowledged in writing receipt of request. Approval or rejection of change.
So it's a modification, so I now sort of see that 30 days might be like, this is killing the project.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks is like, but
Yeah.
still,
A lot of this will occur by telephone.
Yeah,
For
okay.
starters, you know. If folks are aware of this provision. They're gonna call us up, or if they become aware of it, it's just, there's gonna be a learning curve here, of course. Like with almost any change to any project, they call us up first and say, hey,
Yeah.
do this differently, so we can say, okay, go online, and we. Like even with building permits, it's very rare for us to not take some sort of action early on, like within a week,
Okay,
10 days at the outset,
But
30
my
days
understanding,
yeah, Josh,
so I understand this section can apply to permits that are still open. But they could also
Yeah.
apply to closed permits. So like if someone has a house that's already constructed and they have a stormwater management plan and they just want to change the stormwater management plan, this would still apply, right? To closed permits?
If they want to add a tennis court to increase the impervious area, or something like that, or,
is that a new permit?
but that wouldn't be a building permit though, right?
Right, that's where we kind of ended last week on, should there be another permit for certain things, or should there not?
But
We're
it's
trying to
still-
stay away from, but
Yeah,
like Josh brought up. What about these activities that happen after the fact, or even, you have an existing house that, isn't new, but they want to add a tennis court or.
okay. 4.4. 4.3 point. E. Is that, do we have to split?
Do you want to split it to where it says modification of stormwater plan have the general and then have something specific for building, something specific for conservation, something specific for any other place that has a
Can
permit?
we go back to 4.1 for a second?
Certainly. Well,
The air conditioner really on.
I feel like the air conditioner is always on in this building.
It does go kind of cool.
Yeah, I feel I'm getting off the cool breeze.
Really?
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
Or freezing, whichever one you want to go with, because I might have.
4.1, yes. Permits
I
and
know.
approval.
So all persons required to obtain a building permit for new construction and or additions. Or any work which increases impervious area by 25%. So not just. You know, in this, not just building permits, because Tom and I have, struggled with some of this. And, you know, that would say that anybody's enlarging their driveway,
Or any work.
putting in a hardscape patio, putting in a swimming pool, although I think the pool itself should be exempt, but that's another.
So
story.
is conservation not part of that?
Well,
Under the second paragraph, for all persons.
everyone's had my approval. It was at one point, wasn't it?
Nope,
Oh,
it
this
says
is-
verbatim what it says in Needham right now.
Well, you want to add it?
That's out.
Yeah, planning board site plan approval.
Or did conservation talk about the new bylaw last meeting, or no?
Oh. it- Yeah.
No.
Cause we decided that we wanted to do a legal ad and call it a hearing. Before.
Okay.
Kind of some confusion about whether we needed to do legal or not, so we're gonna talk about it next week.
Conservation Commission approval. Adding.
Or just put Debbie.
Hmm.
Because Debbie says it's okay.
Or the NLB alcohol, that's okay, yes.
In the first paragraph, do you want or any work?
Any,
New construction or
any
any
work which increases the impervious area by 25% or more. Something like that, I'll throw that out there.
25% of what the existing impervious is,
Yeah,
Yes,
and that includes all impervious.
Yep.
The driveways, all of whatever,
garden sheds.
everything, okay.
Cause I think that's what we're missing a lot.
yeah.
Is not just the structure.
Right, when we do a building permit, we don't include the driveway, we don't include the,
But now we're going to, right?
yeah.
And we
Okay,
should,
that gets was nifties, that's good.
So I changed the first paragraph to read all persons required to obtain a building permit for new construction and or any work. I should say obtain a permit, not necessarily just a building, permit, but any kind of permit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Get rid of building.
Trip, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really have any objections there.
To obtain a permit for new construction and or any work resulting in impervious surface greater and resulting in impervious surfaces.
Any work resulting
In an
In
increase,
an increase.
in
yeah.
an increase.
Yeah.
In an.
And that 25% is what it is right now, correct?
Correct.
Right, but we're really just doing right now 25% of the roof area, not counting the hardscape or driveway or any of that, so
Greater than
that would
25%.
automatically increase the size of your holding tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Impervious surface greater than 25% of the existing impervious surface footprint, I took out the word building. The impervious surface footprint shall be subject to the requirements of this bylaw. So basically, it's not just going by the building size,
Mhm.
Right,
even though it's not just your house. You're
Mm.
increasing the impervious cover on the parcel.
Mhm. Like it,
Jim, I think we just
Yes.
want to flag impervious surface footprint as a term to define in the definitions.
So in definitions, we have. Oh. Definition.
I'm not sure if we completed definitions, but.
we,
We know, we skipped it to the end, so we
We
can go
got-
back and
yeah,
do
like-
it, but.
yeah,
Impervious
Impervious
surface, there we go.
surface
Any
is
material-
defined.
Oop.
Impervious surface,
Can we read the definition?
You
on
just went
the-
by.
you just passed it.
no, I know, but impervious surface,
Material structure,
what was the word I used? Impervious surface
footprint.
footprint is not, but. Impervious surface is defined as any material or structure on or above the ground that prevents water infiltrating the underlying ground. Impervious surface includes, without limitation, roads, paved parking lots, sidewalks, and rooftops. Impervious surface also includes soils, gravel driveways, and similar surfaces with a runoff coefficient by the rational method greater than 85. Again, this comes from somewhere else, so I don't know if that's the case for us.
I always use the irrational method.
Yeah, well, me too. I'm
Do
always.
you know what that means, Tom?
Yes, the higher the number, the more impervious.
So how do-
Usually like asphalt is like a 98%.
So these are fixed numbers that are,
And one of Deb's
Yeah.
comments on it was, where do pervious pavers and pavers with sand and the joints come in as far as pervious or impervious?
Not to wordsmith, I'm gonna do it. No, that prevents water, when we say it prevents or.
Can I
impedes.
give you, okay?
Yeah.
Well, because the definition that we have, that I have for something else, let me just grab it really quickly so I have it in front of me before I say it out loud and make a butcher job out of it.
rational method.
There's a few ways you can calculate runoff, like a rational method is, I never use the rational method. So it's, it gives you a quick and dirty way of like getting a runoff, rate.
Okay.
And,
So the definition that I have in our stormwater utility explanation is an impervious surface is an area within a parcel which prevents or significantly impedes the infiltration of stormwater into the soil. Common impervious areas include, but are not limited to, buildings, driveways, including paving, concrete, stone, gravel, and dirt, parking lots, paved walkways, pools, patios, tennis and basketball courts, and other similar non-porous areas.
Yep.
Do we like that definition better? Because I can
I do.
swap ours out.
That's good, that's a good one. I mean, we don't talk about rational, but,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
rational method, I think it gets too complicated.
and this is definition.
I'd rather keep people away from the rational method, but the runoff curve is interesting. Because asphalt is like at a 98% runoff, where gravel roads could probably be around 85.
Mhm.
I mean, it'll hold some water.
Josh and Tripp, I put the new definition in there. How are we feeling about that definition versus the one that was there previously?
I think it works.
Yeah, I'm not like overly familiar on what was there before. Are we just now including
Yeah, the before, we
know
took it
how-
out of West.
Weston, yeah.
I know how
And-
Deb or what she like thresholds were. But yeah, no, this is, I think it captures a few other things. So basically, but are you giving if you have an impervious paver patio, does that count or it doesn't?
Yeah, that would count as impervious.
Okay.
Did you
It
say
would count
pervious?
as it counts as impervious for a couple of reasons. So the reason why I'd like to keep it as consistent as possible is
Mhm.
because this is the definition that we have in our facts, our FAQs for the stormwater assessment fee that everybody pays. And part of my explanation to residents who have called in and said, well, I have a gravel driveway, why am I getting charged for it? The point of it is that a driveway and or even a patio, you have to compact the ground underneath it in order to make it.
Yeah, I
flat
get that. I
on
guess
a walk on it.
I understand that. I guess it's, are you now incentivizing, like when I go to the Conservation Commission and I always been putting in these impervious patios, now I'm just gonna do a regular patio and it's less pervious? Or are you, Deb, you're just gonna say?
You mean a are you talking about a porous pavement? Or
Yes,
porous?
porous, yeah.
No, like you have a foot
Right.
of stone underneath and then you have spacing in between your.
Right, but the point of so with the stormwater assessment, we're looking into or trying to create, right now, we're developing the potential credit program, which would give them credit towards that fee if they use porous, the porous pavement or something like that, that's over and above regular use. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess all I'm saying is that if
So
you're,
for conservation,
Yeah.
the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act regulations for riverfront area. We have to determine what the additional impervious area is over the existing. To determine whether you need to do mitigation or not. And I think as far as that goes, the pervious does count as pervious.
Impervious. Pervious is pervious or pervious is
I think
impervious?
pervious is pervious. So I don't think we count that towards square footage of impervious
Because the
for the
policy-
riverfront.
For riverfront,
For
for
riverfront
riverfront.
area regulations.
So for the stormwater
Yeah.
policy,
Mm-hmm,
porous is impervious for calculations. But, so you're not taking a twofer. You can use it for storage,
mm-hmm.
or you can use it to reduce the runoff rate coefficient, but you can't,
Is that
time of
rational? John?
concentration. No, it's not rational. So you can use it to decrease the time of concentration or use it for storage. But you
yeah,
can't.
yeah,
use
no,
it-
I get that. I guess it's just the way that Deb's been seeing it. Like when I go through my permitting
Yeah.
process, I don't want people, now I'm less incentivized to do the right thing. You know, do you know what I mean, Deb?
Right. I do know what you mean.
So a lot of times we see people like, oh, we're gonna do porous pavement. And then then they do their calculations and then they find out, well, porous pavement is tough to handle. So like, let's go back to,
I think more common with
Impervious.
us is having the joints
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
and the
So-
gravel beneath.
I don't know,
Right.
just something to think about, Deb. That's the only thing. I don't, that's just kind of contradictory to what you normally do, I guess, is what I want to bring it up.
Right.
So are you saying, Trip, that if we count the pavers as impervious, then you would just as soon do a poured concrete, like a stamped concrete thing? Is that what you?
Well, yeah, or I just do the sanded joints in between, so it's completely impervious. It's a lot cheaper for me to not do a foot of stone underneath and do gaps in between with pea stone in between and have that storage, I guess, but. Yeah, I mean,
and from the town side, we expect that they're gonna be maintaining it. And then after a few years, it becomes clogged and, unless they show maintenance, so that's why. We're saying with the stormwater credit, if you provide your maintenance, then you get a credit.
Mm.
But you
Yeah,
still call.
and I'm not
Impervious.
arguing for one or the other. I'm just saying that
Yes.
I don't incent, I can see here you're incentivizing people to just do it the cheaper way.
Right.
Um.
I don't know how to tackle that, but.
I mean, I'm just saying that if you ask, and if you look on the EPA's website as well, they would consider any coverage that's been impacted and things like that
Yeah.
would be
Mhm.
considered impervious.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have no problem with the definition. I just,
Right,
Yeah,
something to
I'm not
think
sure
of.
if that's it right now, though.
I know where you're
What
coming
do you
from.
The definition, impervious surface is an area within the parcel which prevents or significantly impedes infiltration of stormwater. Not limited to buildings, driveways, including paving, concrete, stone, gravel, and dirt, parking lots, paved walkways, pools, patios, tennis courts, basketball courts, and other similar non-porous areas.
Mhm.
But it doesn't say porous concrete or porous pavement or.
I mean, we could add a statement in there about porous pavement may be considered as
Is impervious.
would be considered as impervious for calculations, but may result in a credit
A credit, yeah,
on utilities at some point. We just don't have that yet, so I don't wanna put that in here necessarily.
it could be
Right.
impervious, but used as a credit for storage for the bylaw.
Yeah, you could have the credit elsewhere, it wouldn't necessarily have to be in this definition.
Right.
You know, could somewhere else say,
Right.
notwithstanding the definition, if you put in, they call, the asphalt, the popcorn, with
Porous pavement,
forest pavement.
Mhm.
You could have that as a credit, an exception somewhere else. Exception to the definition, if needed.
Okay.
When the time comes.
Right. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's easier to keep it the way it is and then do that.
yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
Do we need a
okay,
definition,
back
for-
to 4.1, or sorry.
Josh?
or do we need a definition for footprint, or is that clear enough?
Can we flag that and maybe we come back to?
Yeah, we may.
Because I
want-
think we'll be like, this is like indexing after you write the book, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and we want, now that you bring that up, Josh, we have a very convoluted definition of footprint in the zoning bylaw. Which includes overhangs, so. We might wanna have a clearer definition in stormwater, so
Okay.
that people don't try to intermix the two.
Mhm.
Good to know.
This just
Oh my God.
came up on a significant case.
Okay.
Great. Okay,
All right, 4.1 and.
I mean, overall, we said we were coming back to this because we're still
Yeah.
trying to figure out and discuss the minor, major, all-in-one list, blah, blah, blah. So
Right.
that was just commenting on some of the stuff that is back to it. So we did stormwater management and erosion control. We did take all of the
Yeah.
documents or comments, and I'm gonna highlight that since we did get through that.
So I did talk with Natick regards to the minor major,
Yeah.
and they feel like that it's really working for them. I think for the major stormwater, I think they thought that having a larger amount of disturbance warranted some sort of hearing. I'm not sure how we feel with that.
I was fine with the minor major, the components of minor major, what I'm hesitant to be okay with, and again,
Start
silent, I'm not actually here. But what I'm hesitant is the fact of having two separate permits or having additional permits to create before this bylaw goes into effect.
Yeah.
And have it functioning and working and a workflow.
Right.
So anything we can do to make it still work the same, but not have those components to it would be ideal.
Yeah, my concern is to start getting bogged down, and I'm not sure, have you found like. There. You know, is there these projects that are. Creating an issue with the residents that has incredible amount of impervious area, are these lots 10,000 square feet, and people are just put in what they can put on their lot. And,
Well, what I'm saying is we don't have analysis on that, because
yeah,
we simply don't know how much square footage of driveway is being placed and how much patio. And other things, because we only count the roof, that's all we have data on.
I have to be honest with you, I would rather, if you have on there, like, instead of categorizing minor and major and having the applicant determine which one is which, I would almost rather have a checkbox that when it goes through the application approval process, when it first comes in the door, it's a box that gets checked off by building administratively,
or-
saying this needs further review, or a bigger, it has a larger thing, whatever the criteria for that is, but it would have to be part of the workflow and have to be getting done by somebody internally, rather than the applicant saying, oh, I have this, this, and this, that makes me minor, or if I have this, this, and this, it makes me major.
So did Natick say that it's working okay?
Yeah, they think it's working, and then, but you know, the Conservation Commission is handling the larger. So now they have to go through a process where they notify the abutters, it goes through a hearing. And then, but even that is fairly quick for them. Not like a notice of intent for wetlands, so no appeal process.
But if we. Did major minor or something, we are basically. Teeing up the whole project to redesign the workflow in this building, right?
Not in this building, we're redesigning how the building permit would go. So that means you'd have two different, we already have a commercial building permit and a residential building
Okay.
permit. On a residential building permit, because those are the most common ones, residential building permits, if you choose New construction, you get certain things that come under that. If you choose the scope of work, you get certain questions that come after that. What you're doing by, if they have to state whether it's a minor or a major based on stormwater, you're gonna have a residential minor permit and a residential major permit. And have to do that whole process each time.
That's a lot.
There is no copy and paste. I will tell you, you have to add each section individually, by hand, by scratch, every time. I can't just say duplicate this permit and change a couple things. Doesn't work that way.
Trip, are you running into the major minor permitting concept at a lot of places?
No, I've done it in Natick once, that's it.
Was it fairly straightforward or was it complicated?
It takes a little while. I mean, going
Yeah.
through Conservation Commission isn't ideal in any time.
Meaning it,
Just
if you
prolong.
hit the major, if hit the major category, it was a bigger deal with hearings and the like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Weston also had the major minor.
Just taking into consideration that you're also making, if we're not, unless you're making it a completely just an engineering review type thing and you're taking on that extra, we're also asking the Conservation Commission potentially to have a longer and more review.
Right, yeah, no, I'm not advocating for that, I'm just saying, that's conservation saying that it works for them in Natick.
Hmm.
But I'm saying that we already do a review for planning board and zoning board of appeals.
Mhm.
And the other projects are on, single family house lots.
Yeah.
That are smaller in nature.
Yep,
And the commercial major minor,
Major projects, majors. What was it called, major project special permits, major project special permits.
Yeah,
Those
the
are-
planning board has major project and minor project site plan approval.
I've only seen like one minor in 15 years, so. And that wasn't really minor.
Yeah, I'm not, again, I haven't been here long enough to be that familiar with it yet. I mean, I know, for example, the 50,000 square foot medical building that's coming.
Yeah.
That was a major. Coca-Cola was a major.
Yeah,
Um,
so I feel like those are already captured in the public hearing process right now,
yeah,
or a conservation commission issue.
right.
So if it's within 100 feet. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking like we could do like administrative approval or a full-blown stormwater plan. You know, like administrative approval would be like for smaller projects, like,
Yeah, I mean, in some respects, we already capture it in the beginning by saying that anything that goes to planning, conservation, or board of appeals has to comply with the bylaw.
Yeah. Right.
So do we even need the major minor thing in the bylaw?
so if. If someone's doing a project that only, no buildings, so it doesn't need a, building permit and goes to conservation. Because there's an amount of fill or whatever brought in there. How would that? You know,
Well,
be
if we-
a bylaw, cause
It-
if the
it-
permit goes through building department. To conservation,
Right, this is what we talked about earlier, and Josh brought up last week, this is the point where. When you don't have, what do we do when we don't have a building permit requirement? Even though,
Yeah.
somebody has an existing house, they put a tennis court in. They're increasing that impervious area, I don't see any other way to do that other than a separate permit. I hate to say,
so. So maybe it's a permit of the conservation issues, if it's a conservation, and if it's anything. That falls outside of the conservation's jurisdiction. The street permit process,
I mean, the other part about that is. Somebody hires G&K paving to come put a tennis court in, they never tell us.
yeah,
We're gonna be triggering more enforcement action. Um,
So like the way our street permits are written is like if you are bringing concrete trunks over the curb, you need a street permit.
Mhm.
It's just for if you do damage, when you inspect it, take a look at it. Or people, and quite frankly, they usually damage their neighbor's property, and that's when we hear about it, because they back the concrete trucks up and go over the curb on the neighbor's property and then.
yeah, but, you know, you also have the sports courts, whatever that may be,
Yeah,
going in, you know. In their yard, but, you know, under the neighbor's bedroom window, you know, so they're calling up and complaining, how can you let this happen, and, you know, it's.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't have a problem adding another permit, like you could have like a non-building structure, I guess, I mean, non-structural structure.
Yeah.
Permit type thing that has much fewer questions than the residential building permit or something like that.
Yeah.
But it would be a very general thing and it would just follow one after the other. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's just, what is this thing? But who and where would it sit? And who's responsible for the workflow on it? You just need to know that there is a
There'd probably be
thought
engineering, I
process through
think.
that whole thing.
Yeah,
There's a
So
thought
that-
process that goes through the whole
yeah,
thing. Never mind the document, never mind the form itself, anything, and how we name it so that people know that's what they need to obtain.
Right. Okay.
Okay, kind of off topic. So back to the modification of stormwater plan, because we gotta stay focused. We gotta get through this document here.
Mhm.
At the requesting in writing, receipt of request, so has acknowledged receipt of request in writing. Approval or rejection of the requested change or modification will be noted on the plot plan within 2 weeks. Did we agree that we were changing that to within 30 days? Or are we still within 14 or within 10 business days? Are we, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, good question.
I still think 30 days is an appropriate time.
Okay.
30 calendar days or 30 business
30
days?
calendar.
We can always change it, guys. I'm not saying we have to stick
No,
to it
no,
right
I
now.
get
I'm
you.
just saying,
And again, most people are gonna, you know, if we're on day 14 and they haven't heard anything, they're gonna be calling us.
Right.
In most cases.
Yeah, they'll be hot for it.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, just waiting for me to sign off on the conservation part of your permits, they give me like a day.
Mhm.
Well,
The
well,
conservation's holding everything up, and I'm like, I'm only one person, it's only been a day.
and I'm still stuck on that if no action is taken within said period, the change or modification shall be deemed approved. I still don't like that statement, but that's up to you guys if you want to keep it.
Can you just take it out completely?
Yes?
yeah, I will be silent on it.
Yeah.
I mean, either up or down, but why allow a mechanism that's only gonna bite the town?
That's to me.
Yeah, I think we're gonna
and
write
also
it.
doesn't need town clerks sort of, you know.
Right. So in Weston, the stormwater, I put the stormwater again, the major minor permit in here, which I don't think really applies to this, but that's the only thing that touched upon modifications. So at this point, I'd say we're good with the language from other
Yeah.
places, and thus far, right now, this is the Needham language that we're going with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Josh and Tripp, yes?
Looks great.
Okay. Ducky Dewdrops, next. No, it's not like.
5.4.
Modification requiring planning board, zoning board of appeals, and or conservation commission approval.
Thank you.
Even though I said in the beginning of that first one, but anyways, so in this one, that's a separate topic altogether. In this one, we have in there, in circumstances where planning board, zoning board of appeals, and or conservation commission approval is required prior to the issuance of a building permit, I would say of a permit,
Of a permit, yeah.
approval by the respective board or commission is required prior to any significant change or modification of an activity associated with an approved stormwater management and erosion control plan. Additional stormwater runoff and erosion control measures may be required prior to approval of the change or modification.
What does significant mean?
No idea. What do you consider significant? I don't know. what
I know,
significant
that's-
means.
Yeah,
So to me, I would almost get rid of this title, and I would just add it as a second paragraph to the top, meaning that anything that is,
right, we talked about 25%. Right?
Earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
In change of. So that's significant, we've already given it a number.
Okay,
so do we
And-
want to merge the two? How do we feel about that, boys? Gentlemen,
I
I'm
have-
sorry. Derogatory.
Yeah. I have a small concern about that. So
Okay,
we don't want, what's the 25% being measured from? The original conditions? Because otherwise, we might get into a situation where someone does 24%, closes that permit, then another 24%.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would, I think though, I think that would be a rare. I think that would be a rare occurrence. There's always gonna be loopholes.
yeah,
It's always, in every regulation, there are loopholes.
well, in the C2 permit, it does state in their permit for the EPA, no, whatever, I forget how it's specifically it's worded, but something to the effect of no item or no project will be split into multiple
yeah,
oh, yeah,
sections in order to alleviate the need for stormwater management or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Is essentially the gist of the whole statement, which I can lift some of that from the EPA if you want.
yeah.
Can we use that same language?
You know, here we're talking about, prior to any significant change. Rather than paying it at 25, can we say approximately 25? So someone coming in, it might be 24 and they think, oh, we don't need it, but
So the outcome too is, additional stormwater runoff erosion control measures. Maybe required.
What
I
if,
mean,
what if in this, what if we just get rid of significant?
okay. Yeah, you'll be adjudicating every. But,
But again, there's not gonna be a ton of them.
okay,
There's gonna be a ton of- Most people, I think Trip would agree with me, when a project gets planned, it's planned on a budget.
right,
And changes, most bills stick to the plan
okay,
Yeah.
because.
So do we
they
want to
tied
keep it
that
on two
budget.
different titles, meaning just a modification of a stormwater plan, and then we want to keep modification requiring planning board
Like a
zoning
stormwater
and
plan.
conservation approval.
Yeah, because they probably have to go back and if it's a condition in a variance or special permit. Or conservation commission permit, then they have to go back and change that condition as well, so this kind of. Flags it that, yeah,
okay,
there's an additional step needed here.
Okay,
yeah, I mean, to do any type of significant modification, they would have to. Request an amendment of their permit from conservation.
so would I say approval by the respective board or commission, or an approval or an amendment and or approval of the change?
And I don't know if you do, Deb, but I know Lee/Daphne, their office often will look at a change and make a determination whether or not
It's
it's
de minimis or,
Okay.
So,
yeah, there are different
Let's leave the
levels.
language the way it is now, move to the next one, when we come back and do our review of actual wording, we'll do that with a more fine tooth comb, but at
Okay.
least just to keep us moving.
uh,
Transitional provisions. We don't have one here that says anything, but in the model bylaw, they had a statement saying residential property owners shall have 60 days from the effective date of this bylaw to comply with its provisions, provided good cause is shown for the failure to comply with the bylaw during that period. What that means, I have no
yeah,
idea.
thank you.
I
Mm,
wondered if that,
It's a lot of
if
gobbledygook.
that concept should get roped into the enforcement section somehow.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure what else.
I'm not sure why it's a transitional provision, I don't know.
I think it's
Just
because
an odd-
if you pass,
Odd
if you,
title.
basically, are they saying if you pass something in this bylaw that, those property owners that already have these buildings and things have 60 days to comply? Because if you've already built your house pre any stormwater management and you haven't put stormwater controls in,
Right.
Are you saying you have 60 days to get, after we pass this, you have 60 days to get those things in the ground?
Yeah.
'Cause that's not
yeah,
happening.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think we can touch existing unaltered properties at all.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct,
that's why nobody has it.
right,
Get rid of it.
okay, done.
Done.
Are we good with, getting rid of it, Trip and Josh?
Sounds good.
Okay. Category defunct.
Wow.
Yeah, streamlining.
Wow. Okay.
I want a little bit, hold on a second. Sorry, that was a yawn. So no permit required, why is this not how to type? So no permit required was another topic that was in Weston's, but nobody else's.
There we go. I
For activities including but not necessarily limited to those listed below, no permit shall be required by the stormwater authority, basically.
Right.
Provided that erosion control measures are used and the activity will not result in an increased amount of stormwater runoff or pollutants flowing from a parcel of land and entering a traveled way or adjacent properties. Land disturbance activity not to exceed 5,000 square feet, creation of a new impervious area or expansion of existing area not to exceed 750, repair, replacement, or reconstruction of an existing driveway, restoration of existing lawn areas, which that technically isn't, a driveway is not accurate for us, only because you would require a street permit. So you might not need a building permit, but you need a street permit.
Right, instead of existing drive, you also in just impervious surface. Because suppose they're like have to retile the pool or reline it or something like that.
Hmm.
You know, do you really need a permit for that? If it's an existing.
No,
For like for a pool or for a driveway?
Pool, driveway, patio, suppose your patio, you're just gonna replace your patio.
Yeah.
The same
So-
footprint, same everything.
yeah,
So-
you're not increasing the impervious
Yeah.
area.
No building permit.
Yeah.
They- So people come in and they'll just go ahead and do it without a building permit.
Yeah.
Because they don't need a building permit and we won't hear from them. And technically, I mean, they'll, as long as they're not building into the right of way. For pavement, you know, they can put in another. Driveway on their property around their house if they wanted to, and we would know about it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not gonna catch everything.
yeah,
It's just impossible.
but if they needed a building permit. And then they show they're gonna put a driveway around their house,
Right.
we would.
We
capture that.
calculate that, in, yeah.
Yeah,
So do we want to have a section that says no permit required and list off bunch of instances where they wouldn't need the permit?
Yeah, I think,
Permit?
you know,
that's, for example,
typical landscaping, you know, reseeding your lawn, resodding your lawn. Temporary tents, sometimes is a big thing, you know, people do them at their houses for weddings and other events, but often colleges do them for.
Right.
You know,
we live up for long weekends.
But they need a tent
orientation,
permit,
they do, but that shouldn't trigger a stormwater bylaw. Thing,
right,
because it's only up for, you know, temporary things, less than 30 days, something like that.
okay.
I think there
So
is
do
a
we
need
want
for
to
a
do that?
section.
Okay, so hold on, are you guys in agreement, Josh, yes?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. You can just say not limited to, I guess. That's what we're trying to get at. Like, we're not going to catch everything.
Right.
So did we not have anything like that in the original? bylaw?
No, we did not.
It might be helpful, yeah, just to enunciate, because someone, we have to read the whole thing to see if I qualify. Just like, no, just, you know, okay.
Provided erosion control measures are used and the activity will not result in increased.
Redirect, stormwater flow. increase impervious area.
amount of
blah, blah, blah.
stormwater runoff or pollutants flowing from a parcel of land and entering a traveled way or adjacent properties,
Right,
is the statement.
And how do they prove that?
Because they don't need to have a permit, how do they know that?
How do they prove
Yeah.
that it's not gonna impact the neighboring property?
Well, I guess if neighbor complains.
And if they don't need a
right,
permit, how do you prove?
They cut down all the
erosion
trees
control?
along the property line.
Mhm.
That's for the tree bylaw.
Right,
Okay,
but the first one there though, land disturbance. Not to exceed 5,000 square feet in the area.
That's a lot,
That's a lot.
right?
Yeah.
10,000 square foot lot, like you're to like,
you're taking half your yard and doing something with it, you don't need a permit?
Yeah, if you're, you know, I think we, and I think some of. You know, maybe back to 4.2 or 4.2, I think. I wasn't here for a couple of weeks because.
Yeah.
A Couple things that happened. You know, I think that in our. Various neighborhood meetings, what we did find was that, Well, personal opinion, I think that, you know, under normal rain conditions. Stormwater management is working pretty good. And so it's the extreme storms that are causing this, and I think one of the things that we noticed was the mounding up
Mhm.
of the new things, so.
Right.
I think there should be some language somewhere. And I may have missed this part of it, I may have been out, that somehow says. If there's a change of grade. An engineer shall certify that one, there should be no additional shedding of water onto adjacent properties. Public, private, whatever.
Yeah.
Nor. Displacement of water. Onto public or private properties, additional displacement of water.
I don't know if we said that specifically, but I know that we talked about that in one of the other previous sections. And
Right.
also, I believe we also discussed about putting, you guys discussed about putting specifics requirements like the engineering authorizing and things like that in regulations. It's not so in the bylaw, but it's in a regulation.
Change of the normal path of flow, I think
Yes,
it was
yeah.
that we used. So if someone builds a wall up against the property line, now the. Stormwater hits the wall and then heads towards their neighbors.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't do any extra work on their property that shedded water, but they prevented the water from going onto their property and cutting across.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But, and when we go through it the second time, because right now we're just trying to get content and the actual flow of the document, we go through for specifics, those are the types of things that we
Okay.
want to make sure we bring up again and have in there,
what's the last line?
language wise.
Sorry. After 7 o'clock, I'll be kind of
Mhm.
Nor increased displacement of water
Yes,
onto adjacent properties.
So of
That
this
an
list,
engineer would need to certify
Displacement
those
or
things.
redirection.
Yeah.
Mm.
so of this list here, for things that do not require a permit. Creation of new impervious area or the expansion of existing impervious area not to exceed 750 square feet. I don't think we should have it in there because that's very confusing. We just said if you change something with more impervious area, you're gonna get charged
Yeah,
more. I feel like that should be out of there.
Yeah.
To me, it should be repair, replacement, or reconstruction of an existing driveway. Is that true?
Right, but so should the number one should be out of there too. the
Yeah,
5,000.
Oh, yeah, no, 1 and 2 are out to me.
Okay,
Without increase, yeah.
So repair, replacement, or reconstruction of an existing driveway.
yeah,
They don't need to get a permit, with
Or-
stormwater.
driveway patio, pool, right?
right, as long as they're not enlarging it.
Right, it's just maintenance for what they always have had. It's not gonna be more impervious.
How would you like to see that, Trip, or how would you think to see that somewhere? Like repair, replacement, or reconstruction of an existing driveway, patio, or,
Pool within the same footprint.
Yes, but be careful of footprint.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not exceeding existing square footage, I don't know. Something like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Kim, should this stuff that you're going through be rolled over to 4.2? you look at 4.2.
Yeah, we might need to, when we go back through the wording afterwards, the
I mean, we
specific
started a
language.
list of exemptions there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We only have one.
yeah,
Put them all over there. If we're
Yep.
gonna get rid of transitional,
yeah,
that'd be a place to tuck it.
yep. Private pool, I don't wanna say et cetera, I wanna say driveway, patio, pool,
Sports courts.
yeah. Existing.
and other, what are those considered, like, what, another attributes? They're not structures, so
Non-structural structure.
another,
Improvements.
Impervious improvements.
improvements,
Yeah,
so long as it does not increase impervious surface.
square footage, or,
You know, we'll go back to the language
yeah,
afterwards, but.
I think it also has to be in the same area too, because if they take it out and move it next to the property line.
Yeah.
that's an issue.
oh. It's true.
Yeah.
We're rebuilding well, that's a new build, if
Yeah.
you're rebuilding a pool.
If it's a pool, then yeah, then you.
You need a building
You
permit
need
for
a
the
building
pool anyway.
Yeah, but if it's a sports court, then. that's all.
That's
But
it,
the-
and
but the
impervious
pool-
square footage, it
Okay.
remains in the same location. Let's just leave it at
Yeah,
that for right
okay.
now,
Yeah.
and we'll go back and fix the words afterwards. Restoration of existing lawn areas, provided that any imported material is spread at a thickness no greater than 4 inches, and the total imported material does not exceed 250 cubic yards.
I can't. Picture 250 cubic yards, but 4 inches, so I'm like,
Yeah, what I found in the previous town I worked for, they had a similar thing, that if you brought in more than 200 yards of anything. And the problem with that was, if you had a 5,000 square foot lot and you brought in 200 yards,
Yeah.
sure, that's a problem. But if you got an 8 acre lot and you bring in 200 yards of mulch,
right,
it's,
Right,
not a,
right, okay,
not a big
Yeah.
deal.
so,
Why even have that?
yeah, it wasn't just.
I don't know.
Maybe just so, if it's not in there, you
It's just a
can't.
If
trigger,
they redo their permit, if they redo their lawn, they don't need to pull a permit.
Right.
it's just, yeah, but that's just a trigger for stormwater review.
what if they're
No, no,
grading
it's a-
it though?
Exactly, well, that's the question. If you're grading it, you need a permit.
Right, and the amount of cubic feet may or may not tell you,
Correct.
the 4 inches. Might tell you more, but, or,
I would
I mean,
say
they do
restoration of
drainage.
existing lawn areas provided no regrading of the lot. I mean, if you do redo your lawn, you
No
have
change-
kind of
no
regrade
change
it
in
anyways.
well,
There's no change in grade. Don't you kind of do it when they till the grass?
Not really,
over there?
you're not changing the grade,
But,
you're
like,
not,
suppose people hardening the property basically to make it, so that. Maybe the water doesn't pool here near the house or something.
Or people want a flat lawn for their kids to.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a
Soccer
lawn where,
ball on.
over the years and it's
Right.
settled and it's creating a pool, and you wanna,
Yeah.
we don't wanna prevent that.
Right. So do you want me to just say restoration existing lawn of existing lawn,
Restoration,
Areas-
I think we can say restoration without like,
of
Yeah,
existing
without-
lawn areas
Yeah.
without grading?
because that allows you, right,
Yeah.
the 10,000 square lot would. Be one thing if an 8 acre would be done, so. But when you get into details, it's like. We didn't bring, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll just leave that right now. That's the statement. There you go. Okay, addition or on-site redistribution of material, again, I think that should go out. Like,
I don't know what
think
that
makes
means.
sense. Basically, like if you drop off the dirt, the loam to fill in
Oh,
those
oh,
holes
okay.
in your lawn and it's over 200 cubic feet, you need to have.
yeah, same
That's the
issue,
same thing.
Right,
yeah.
it's like,
Demolition of a structure, provided that any land disturbance, including the area of the structure, does not exceed 5,000 square feet.
Mhm.
That seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, shouldn't even be there.
exactly. Routine maintenance and improvement of institutional open space and recreational uses, provided that an annual letter or plan is filed with the is filed with and approved by the Stormwater Authority describing the work to be done. Institutional
What's-
open
what's the
space, what would that be? Like a public park, we own them,
DeFazio Fields.
yeah, but that's, those are ours.
Right, but there was a whole, if we remember back to our presentation.
Right.
Was it the presentation or prior to the presentation? Yeah, so we searched around to see if there was any existing major or minor special permits on that.
Hmm.
And it turned out there were not. And everybody was kind of surprised at that because we have, you know, town hall, gas, public parking lots, they all have some sort of approval, but apparently DeFazio is not under jurisdiction of any of that.
Okay, all right, I'm saying no to that one too, but we can go back and add it at some other time if we find we need it. I'm saying these are the two that are on here right now. We may or we may not find that there are additional ones to add when we come through again, but at least it gets us started with a list.
Right.
Could we just throw in something like, temporary structures?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, sometimes, you know, you could have a house burned down. And they need a trailer,
Yeah,
to live in while they're there,
Such as
construction,
tents, trailers.
construction trailers,
right.
approved temporary structures.
Yeah, approved. By the building department,
Right.
Whoever-
has jurisdiction,
Yeah,
just approved.
from the approving authority. Yeah.
Okay,
And all of them have that catch-all at the first paragraph about, as long as it doesn't result in an increased amount of stormwater runoff.
Yeah.
So you kind of got the thing boxed in.
yep. All right, so now next section, section 5, administration. Where are we? We're at 8:30. How do you feel? Do you want, I have one, how many sections is this one? One. There is one category before we get through to 6. Can we just do one more?
yeah.
You good on one more, guys?
Sure.
They're sitting at home, they got their feet up.
They have the
Of course
heat
they're
on,
good.
we have the air conditioning.
They're
on. Okay, so the section of administration, we have in our current bylaw, the director of public works shall be responsible for the day-to-day administration of this bylaw and its regulations, except as provided in section 7.3.3 below, which that would have to change because that's not
Right.
referencing the correct thing anymore. But the director may designate a person or persons to carry out any of his or her duties under the stormwater bylaw. I think that statement is totally fine. However, the other examples we had listed from the model, it says stormwater authority shall administer, implement, and enforce this bylaw, kind of like that. Any powers granted to or duties imposed upon stormwater authority may be delegated in writing by stormwater authority to its employees.
We just
or
stick with
agents.
Needham and go forward.
We can. Do we want to read or
I mean,
hear
we've
about
talked
Natick or
about it,
Weston?
so,
No?
I mean, our current approach is working.
Well, we're not doing
Right,
Concom,
guys?
right, yeah. And what a selectman, shall what the?
Did you want that?
Yeah. More work for you guys, get on it now.
Hey,
The only thing I'm saying about the statement, the first, the sentence in the model bylaw is being able to say on, adding to Needham, so keeping Needham's the way it
Yeah.
says. But instead of saying be responsible for the day-to-day, say shall administer, implement, and enforce
Yes, okay,
this bylaw.
yes,
Like I like the whole, everything else, but just adding the words implement and enforce
I
specifically.
like that, okay. They can
Sounds
adjudicate,
good.
because they're responsible for it.
Mhm.
And the only thing I might add is, may designate a person to carry out any of his, hers, just say their duties.
Mhm.
And instead of its regulations, I'd say and any regulations.
Yeah.
Yes, the bylaw's not a living thing.
Yeah.
But sounds like it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Alright.
Only when you dream out loud at night.
Yeah, that's true.
I dream about it at night, I dream about it during the day, I dream about it all the time. I think about it in the middle of the shower sometimes. It's
You do.
I do.
You
Well,
do.
that is
Well, 'cause it's
water.
water. I don't know, I'm thinking, I see it going down the drain and I'm like, oh, I should do
Yeah.
this. Yeah. it's for-
My
it's
drain
like that.
is impervious, is pervious.
What is it, Dwayne the storm drain? Is that the kids thing that I hand out every year?
Why?
I don't
I'm not
know,
sure.
but
Dwayne
now,
the storm drain.
so completely,
Clay?
culturally
No,
inappropriate, but my
Clay might know,
grandmother,
right? Sorry.
my grandmother, so my grandmother was, Chinese, like, off the boat from China, Chinese or whatever, she couldn't say dream. My mother, one of my mother's songs that she liked when she was growing up was, the Everly Brothers.
Oh,
And so my grandmother used to call it, she's like, can you play the Dween Dween song?
oh.
So now my kids call it the Dween Dween
That's
song.
adorable.
Isn't that cute?
That is adorable.
Super cute. Anyways. Issuing authorities. So we have in there the issuing authorities for permit. We have the building department, issuing authorities for permits. Building department, planning board, zoning board of appeals, and conservation commission are responsible for determining compliance with this bylaw for any application to these authorities. The director of public works and or designee shall review permit applications and provide an advisory opinion to the issuing authorities. Lots of words, it needs to be reworded, but the
Right.
director of public works or designee, meaning like the departments.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
shall review permit applications. I would, the only thing I would put on there is as necessary. Cause not all of them review every single
Yes,
permit.
yeah. Okay.
Do we need to add DPW, because if we are adding impervious area and they add a new driveway in.
Right.
Yeah.
So building department, conservation, planning board, zoning will not be reviewing it with the under the street permit procedures.
I could put in the
And-
issuing authorities or engineering department.
Yeah, DPW or engineering, maybe taking.
I'd
keep
say
it as
engineering, just cause like the highway, they're not gonna, if they call the highway department, they're not gonna be able to tell them anything.
DPW engineering. I mean, we're a division of the DPW, that's why I just said DPW engineering.
Building department's under DPW, right?
What's that?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Conservation isn't either.
Nope. So DPW
Engineering. yeah.
engineering. Division.
Yeah.
Planning board, zoning board of appeals and conservation commission.
All right, wait.
So probably in order, and this is probably the order, we'll probably see the number of permits generated, mostly from the building,
Mhm.
and planning,
Second.
zoning, and
DPW.
conservation, then DPW, like that.
Okay,
Building is not DPW?
Correct.
Okay, I mean, it's in the building,
Yeah,
it shares our building, but it's not. part of us.
okay, but the director of DPW is in charge of it all,
ultimately,
Of the building,
okay?
yeah.
But you're not DPW,
correct.
Nope.
okay. This feels like I'm doing like,
The DPW
I
director
find
is
it
in
all odd
charge
that
of.
the
Mental.
DPW director's in
I feel like
charge
this
of
is
all of it.
Twister, like,
The DPW director is in charge of all stormwater. Stormwater itself
okay,
affects all of these different divisions, departments and entities.
okay, that's the point, thank you.
They are the overall umbrella that controls stormwater in town, however.
Right.
It affects other departments,
Okay,
okay?
Cause we
All
have, cause we have the nifties.
Because we do the nifties, correct?
thanks.
How are you guys feeling about that issuing authority statement? Are we good with that? Do we suggest changes? Do we not like it? Do we hate it? Do we want something different?
Or do we love it?
Looks good.
I think it's similar to how it works now. I guess maybe this is a question, maybe for Karis actually, or not, well, actually it ends up being Tom, you most of the time, right? Like
Yeah.
when one of these permitting authorities, issues a permit, Tom, like, how much say do you have, Tom, in it? Like when you give an advisory opinion, are the decisions often similar to what you recommend?
Yes. So it's a little bit different on each one, because under the bylaw. And the building department sees a lot of the bylaw permits coming through. Single family houses, so, And the requirement is that they just collect 1 inch of runoff from the roof. And put it into a dry well. And there's no calculations required, no design. So they're pretty much just showing a location. So we're just taking the building plot plan. It goes to, it goes through building department, and it comes up to engineering. We take a look at it and we kind of just check it off like, okay, they're showing a location for infiltration. They're showing the calculations that they're doing 1 inch. And I think building department may do that as well.
Yeah, we don't check the calculations, we
Yeah.
look to see that they're there.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I think Paul just signs the permit.
right, so the
Process.
permitting system, once we do our plan review from building code and zoning point of view, and we approve it, then it automatically goes to engineering for their sign off. And once they sign off, then we, until they sign off, we don't issue the permit.
Got it.
And
So it
then
sounds like,
the,
it sounds like it's working well, the communication across the department.
Yes.
yes, yeah, and then the conditions about if it's more than 4,000 square feet. The applicant is supposed to show that they're not discharging more stormwater off their property. Which is now that comes, it is a little bit confusing on, so what does that mean? 210 100-year storm event, it talks about meeting the state stormwater policy.
Yeah, that's what we need to clarify in the
Yeah.
regulation though, right?
But a lot of these, a lot of these properties already have like more than 4,000 square feet of impervious area, then they're adding like another 1,000.
Yeah.
So are they now triggered to meet the
Mhm.
Massachusetts stormwater policy, or are they just doing, you know, the increase, whatever?
Mhm.
So,
It's supposed to be whatever's more stringent.
yeah, so, and then when it comes down to the state stormwater policy. If you really follow the stormwater policy, a lot of these houses cannot build their filtration system where they want to build them.
Hmm.
It's too close to the foundation, too close to the property line. It just, it creates, you know, if we point to the stormwater policy for single family houses, it's gonna create a lot more issues. I think we need to make it a little tougher, but not prohibitive, right?
Yeah. So if we raise the threshold. It'll be even more of a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, right, so there should be, it needs to meet the stormwater policy minus, you know, a couple of the. Sections that we know that people are not gonna be able to make.
Okay, so the
Oh.
next section is regulations.
I'm sorry, I just wanna finish up by
Oh.
planning board and zoning board. We review, their submittals through the major, project special permits. And they need to meet the stormwater policies. So, and they're usually bigger lots, and they're quite capable of meeting it. So,
How about the conservation commission?
conservation, we don't review unless they ask us to help on something. and
We've been lucky that our previous chair was a stormwater engineer. He was on for about 20 years, and our current chair is an engineer. And so he reviews, you know, pretty much all of our stuff.
Wow.
If he leaves,
Perhaps you don't need Tom Selleck.
but yeah,
Okay.
So I know we said we were gonna end after that one, which we can, and it's fine. I just wanna let you know that the next section, regulations, is also just a short
I
review of those
noticed.
paragraphs. So up to you guys if you wanna keep going, or if you wanna stop and end at 6.
We have 18 sections possibly go.
Correct.
Want to say a half dozen, we do regulations?
I think that regulations are gonna take a little more time. I think regulations is really.
No, this isn't the regulations as the regulations document. It's the section in the bylaw referring to regulations. Basically saying, look at our regulations, which is gonna be a separate document.
Okay, so we're not doing that separate document.
No, we're not doing that
No.
separate document right now, no.
Okay.
God, no.
Can I make a request? all the stuff that we've done up to this point.
Mhm.
Would it be easy to give us another version that cleans up and strikes out all the stuff that?
So like I did with the
eliminated?
last time, yeah, well, like I did with the last one, what I will, if you pull up the document again on, SharePoint after I finish with the meeting minutes from this meeting,
Okay,
I go back and I clean out any comments or any other things that happened on it where we're at, so
okay,
it's a clean copy from there on.
okay, yeah, cause it, yeah.
Alright.
Cause it sort of shrinks it down to a fairly shorter document.
Makes it more
to refer
manageable.
back to.
Correct, yes,
So,
yes. Okay,
Why don't we wrap it up?
okay, got it.
Do you want me to, so last time I promised that I'd show you some, plans that we see through the building department. I can just share my screen. I can show that to you before we,
yes, I'd like to see
So
it.
we'll start again with regular, we're meeting next when, I'm
We're
sorry,
meeting March 4th.
March 4th, all right.
We also said last time that now everybody is not here, so I don't know how you want to handle this, but you wanted to talk about adding another meeting time.
Yes.
And what that might look like or what that might be.
And Josh, we did talk about doing the sort of public meeting to talk to people. Kate Fitzpatrick and I thought to make that a hearing as well. Because
That's
you're
great.
taking input from people, so let that be a hearing as well. Because otherwise asking people to come up twice, or, I mean, you're gonna catch some on one night and some on another.
Okay, sounds good.
So say that again, so
So the meeting, so if the trotted out your presentation to the public, we can make that a hearing as well.
so that's the select board information meeting?
No, this would be the, Josh, this is the sort of like neighborhood meeting, community
Like a
meeting,
listening session.
Listening session,
listening session.
okay, got it.
And listening, will be a hearing.
So the select board information presentation is
That's-
before that.
Is it, yeah,
I mean, I had it down sometime in April from what you said before. And I'm just curious whether that has gotten a specific date on the calendar yet.
I think I have it, hold on. Oops. Then what did we talk about, select board presentation?
What did we talk about select board presentation? I'm sorry,
When it was gonna be,
when it was gonna be. We said sometime in May, I
I
believe.
think May sounding more realistic than April.
oh,
Oh, we're not doing April.
No.
I'm very, and if you guys are not adding a meeting or even two,
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna be done with the editing of this before the end of March.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's no way.
not to
And then
worry.
you need April to get regulations and,
Right.
and a presentation.
Right. And then we're clearing the decks for town meetings.
Correct,
Okay.
So the listening session, public thing would be after
after town meeting.
the select board information presentation.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
select board informational presentation was supposed to be after the May town meeting. The end of it, because May,
Alright,
the
so
beginning
May-
of it was
Right,
the town meeting, and then we were gonna do it at the end. And then, so we were gonna, at the end of May, we would have done we would have done the informational thing, and then April was gonna be May, the beginning of June was gonna be the
hearings.
public
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
the public
That
meeting or
little
whatever.
diagram.
Yeah, April, right, presentation. To group progress overview expected, and then it does, before we do trot it out too much, we have to give it to legal.
Correct,
Because no reason to have anyone review stuff that a lawyer's gonna blanch over.
correct. So to me, you're gonna finish your draft of the content you want in the bylaw.
Right.
We're gonna send that to legal.
Right.
While legal is looking at that, we're working on the regulations.
Yeah.
And then he can just take a quick gander at that. I'm hoping the regulations are not
Yeah,
as cumbersome to go through.
okay,
Can you put that out in I don't know whether you want it in the minutes or
Mhm.
it would help to get sort of
yeah,
what you were just describing, kind of step by step,
Sure.
because I'm kind of confused
because
right
it's,
now.
it's hard, yeah, it's confusing and it's hard to schedule when we don't have a deliverable done.
Correct.
And I don't know how much longer this will take,
I don't either.
although it is fun.
Okay, so, this is.
All right.
So
a-
it's canals, right?
Right.
I wrote this is, I try to, redact some of the information to protect the innocent, so, or so-called innocent. So on the right side here is an existing structure with a driveway right up against the property line. And that was, previously existing, and the proposed actually as-built is on the left side. And you can see the increase, it is a two-family, driveway. Although I pulled up the wrong, as-built plan, there are elevations. It pretty much shows that the driveway previously, you can see, is kind of graded towards the street.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now they built this house up, the driveway directs it right towards their abutter.
Oh,
Yeah, so all this driveway is going this way, increase impervious area. And you can see, to meet the bylaw, they have two locations for infiltration. Not designed. But supposedly that's 1 inch, collecting 1 inch off the roof. So,
right, and that's as far away as you can get from the structure, right? But is
Yeah.
there a point where it's like, if it's right on the line, it's like, thanks, you're just infiltrating into my yard?
right, yeah, so I mean, if it's designed, I mean, so the stormwater policy requires that they're 10 feet off now.
Why can that,
Just a side note on this one, this is in a general residence district,
yeah,
so there's no FAR and no lot coverage, I believe, so that's why. They were able to make this so big
right,
compared to what was there before.
right.
Yeah.
Could be infiltration under the driveway?
Mhm. As long as they have
They,
port,
they
right?
could do, yeah, they would need to, have access to maintain it,
Mhm.
so.
Okay,
And that would be in our regulations, so that they need to provide that stuff. So. You know, that's one example, but, I mean, this is all maximized and.
So
I
what, there
doubt-
was one tree and now there's none.
I don't. Yeah, there's
One
one
tree,
tree,
yeah,
right-
one tree.
There's a one tree right there.
Yeah.
So how many square feet is this, Tom?
This lot is only 67, 80. So. And I would say that, I'm not sure if we caught this one, this looks like it's over 4,000 square feet. So we did require them to put a berm. So they're not shooting water, to
Yeah.
their property, off the property.
okay.
But that's when they said it was under 4,000 square feet. So
Well,
you know, an engineer, I think, needs to design this, not a surveyor.
Mm.
good.
Um,
It could there be a point, like suppose that gets built. And the neighbor realizes that the driveway is gonna shed into the lawn.
yeah,
Could they build a wall along the property line to basically dam up? And push it back into the driveway, into the foundation and flood them out.
yeah, so you have the neighbor do.
And then have the neighbor like, I mean, I could imagine everyone's lawyering up.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
That-
that's,
In that particular case, that wasn't a new construction, that they used the existing foundation, right? That's why it's like,
no,
No.
Yeah, they did, they used a lot of that.
oh,
existing house
they use the
stayed.
same one? Well,
yeah, they
used
did. That's why the setback is 1 foot on one side.
Oh, yeah, cause they did.
No, the problem.
Yeah.
Not my project.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do that to you.
Okay, so what's this? one?
This one was, you know, Paul gave me some of these, but he gave me like the most difficult ones,
Yeah, this-
where we have easements coming through.
Oh my God.
So this one's kind of tough. I'm not sure how they made it, little infiltration in the front here. But, you know, this is 7240. I mean, this is what we're dealing with.
What's that? I'm sorry, yeah, is that a wall over the steps?
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah,
up going up, right?
yeah,
So it's like a terrace backyard?
yeah, so
That-
so
that
this
existed
whole
though, didn't
area
it?
like drops off.
Yeah, back to the train tracks, isn't it?
Towards, yeah. Chestnut Street location. Yeah, so, I mean, they really can't. This is one of two that is really difficult, because they have to cut across an easement. An existing easement, so they really only have this area up front.
What the?
Yeah, for the infiltration. Yeah. So otherwise they would have to like. Put a drain line through.
Oh, wait, so this is on Chestnut Street, so this is the
This is
slope,
actually
Galen.
Galen, yeah.
right?
Chestnut Street.
Galen.
Chestnut Street's
Okay, oh my
down
God,
below.
right,
yeah.
okay. So
Yeah,
steep,
it's way
steep,
up and then
Yeah.
drops off dramatically.
oh my God, so they're building it like on a water flow.
Um. This one's interesting too. Let's see if I can blow this up. This one right here, there's another sewer easement. But, you know, this is something that they could not do. Cut across the sewer easement.
Right, right,
And so they're in over here. But
I'm
they
sorry,
already
where?
did some of the work already. They actually ended up damaging our sewer. But you can see how it's kind of regraded. I mean, the stormwater was flowing this direction anyways,
right,
from bottom to top, but they just kind of changed, they raised up the grades a little bit. And I think that, the last example I want to show you is like, this is a plan that we are preparing for just a, hypothetical, and for our street permit procedures. And maybe we can incorporate into the stormwater,
We got wetlands.
oh,
yeah. So just kind of like, Paul is putting together a plan that he kind of wants, like. The engineering. People who submit for engineering review, just can kind of copy the format. So,
sure.
you know, with a checklist on what needs to be shown. So he's kind of showing, you know, leach area system and the calculations and stuff, so. This is gonna be, this is kind of like in the works right now, but,
Well, look, it's a tree.
To be removed.
yeah.
Right,
To be removed, yeah, but he needs also show street trees and sidewalks and, you know, other stuff, yeah,
A model plan.
yeah. Yeah, so I said this might be helpful for, if we can prepare a model plan, so. It makes it easier for the engineers and the developers to say, oh, okay, this is what the town is looking for. And it won't be a boring checklist, but it'll also have okay, they want stormwater, they want.
Mhm.
You know, where the water line is, where the wetlands are, where the, you know, 1 foot grades. So on and so forth, so. And then I think what we also want to do is develop a standardized, almost like a building card for the stormwater, like. On 8x11, here's your maintenance and here's your location of and then. Give it to the owner or have it in our permit.
yeah, just on the
Cloud, yeah.
Sure.
So they can like find it. Like
Great
on Chestnut
idea.
Street,
yeah,
like in Chestnut Street where the third owner didn't know where the system was.
right.
It was like right next to your bulkhead. So those are a few examples, but
Way to finish out the night, Tom. Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
We're a high note.
Motion adjourned.
Yes, motion to adjourn,
We're not talking about the added meetings? This go round or what?
let's do it next when more people, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. Otherwise, we'll see them. All right, I have a motion to adjourn.
Joe has motion to adjourn.
I second.
Oh, we have a
Deb
second.
seconds.
Okay, doing roll call, Joshua Levy,
Yes.
Yep.
Don.
Yes.
Tom Ryder,
Yes.
Deb Anderson,
Yeah,
Joe
Yep.
Ponda.
Yes.
And then Treya votes yes, we were adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good
did
night.
they?
Stay warm, everyone.
What,
Yeah.
brand are they?
We'll be going to the beach today, tomorrow.
I was down in Newport this morning.
Oh.
I had to drop off my daughter at school. It doesn't say beach, as long as it's-
Where did she go?
Salvador, Maria.
My sister went to
Salvador,
Salve.
Regina, yeah.
My sister went to Salve.
Lovely campus.
Oh my gosh, yeah, these Gilded Age mansions.
Yeah.
Overlooking the ocean,
Yeah, over
And-
court.
yeah.
And
It's-
where do they get the money to maintain these?
I know, they do it. I know how they do it.
Yeah.
But,
Mind-boggling.
but it is so windy down there.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you can feel the rain blowing up.
Have you been to the car museum there?
No,
You should.
the car museum, is that?
Right next to the tennis club.
Yes.
By, Audrey, you have.
Okay, I've seen that, yeah.
They have some beautiful pieces in there, and they change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, I'll take that in.
See you next time, folks.
All right, see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.